I don't need this. So spoilers for Kamigawa Neon Dynasty have just started, and I just saw this card earlier today, and I thought it was fake, and then I saw it again later, confirming that it is in fact real. And I have thoughts. I'm just going to go over the card itself real quick, and then I'll get into implications that came to mind for me later. The card is a new Tamiyo Planeswalker card. It is called Tamiyo Completed Sage. It costs 2, a green, a blue, and some weird Simic Phyrexian mana hybrid symbol. And that was the first thing that tipped me off that I thought it was fake. Because you go on the freaking MTG custom cards subreddit, and you'll see stuff like that looks exactly like this all the time. And it's always the weird Phyrexian mana with hybrid stuff, trying to be super creative, and it all ends up just being a lot of just everything porridge. You know what I mean? Ugh. But then you see the very accurate set symbol here. You see all like the appropriate type lines in the very bottom of the card that show like the copyright, the trademark, the set number, mythic number, the set, the language, the artist name, and everything. And it shows up on an actual it shows up on the Magic website for the page that is promoting Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. It's real, and the border and everything looks awesome. And I'm just gonna go over the card. Tamiyo Completed Sage, 2, a green and a blue, and Phyrexian Simic hybrid, which, based on the completed keyword at the top of the text line, it says that can be paid with green, blue, or 2 life. If life was paid, this Planeswalker enters with 2 fewer loyalty counters. I like that they added that extra stipulation where paying the life for that mana cost comes at a diminishing reward, essentially. You can cast it for cheaper, but it comes in with less loyalty. I love that. I think that's very good balancing. So it can either be a 4 mana walker and 2 life, or a 5 mana walker. And the 4 mana comes in with 3 loyalty, the 5 mana comes in with 5 loyalty. Awesome. Great. Cool. +1. Tap up to 1 target artifact or creature. It doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. We've seen this before on the first Tamiyo Planeswalker card. She did something similar with tap untap shenanigans on the mono blue one in Innistrad, which was probably one of the coolest uses of a Planeswalker card that I've seen, not specifically mechanically, but in the fact that it was a character that was so alien to the world of the set that it appeared in, which is what I like to see from Planeswalkers. And I think it's been kind of boring recently how the past few years, for every set they've had a Planeswalker from the set from the set world in the set world, and that's kind of boring to me. Especially when they had it like 3 or 4 blocks in a row was just Gruul was that Planeswalker, and it was like, I get that they need someone from that world to help set it up, but like it's every time it's always just a Planeswalker that fits there. And I don't know, I feel like it's weird. Like, I liked Angrath. Angrath in Ixalan was a very good use of it too. But Tamiyo, even just like mechanically, felt so alien to the rest of the set. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. That was the +1. And the -X, exile target non-land permanent card with mana value X from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of that card. So this is where the Phyrexian mana cost coming in with reduced loyalty comes into effect. Because you can -2, or if you pay for the 4 and 2 life, bring her out, and she comes in with 3 loyalty, so you can -2 and still keep her around. And the -2 would get any random 2-drop creature from your yard, and you can bring it out, a copy of it out. Or if you bring her out with 5 mana, you can -4 and still keep her out, or you can -5 immediately and just get a copy of a thing, which is a pretty cool effect. For 5, you get a token copy of something from your graveyard. And it is a non-land permanent card. Doesn't have to be a creature. You can make this be another Planeswalker. You can make this be an enchantment, an artifact, any number of non-land permanents. You can just make a copy of it. And then if it's a planeswalker, or I'm sorry, excuse me, not a planeswalker. If it's a creature, you can populate that if you in formats that allow populate cards, which is bonkers. I think that's cool. But the -X, you get a mana value X non-land permanent from your graveyard token copy. Asika's Chariot can copy those tokens, by the way, because Asika's Chariot it gives you the cat tokens, and you can copy those on default, or with with Ren and 7, you can copy the Tree Folk token, like is very popular in Standard. What I've noticed you can also do is copy treasure tokens, copy clue tokens, all sorts of shenanigans. Anyway, so that's the -X. And then the ultimate, -7. It only takes a few turns for after Tamiyo comes out to be able to do this if you play the 5 mana. It takes longer with the 4 mana, but I mean, that's natural. -7, create Tamiyo's Notebook, a legendary colorless artifact token with spells you cast cost 2 less to cast, and tap, draw a card. That's an insane thing to have! That artifact is bonkers, and it makes sense that it is an ultimate effect. I think it's pretty well balanced for being 7 or a -7 on a 5 mana enters with 5 loyalty or 4 mana enters with 3. I think that's pretty balanced, and you're hardly ever going to get there because I feel like the -X is enough of an incentive to affect your progress towards it. Ultimate abilities has always been sort of win more abilities anyway. I think this is a perfect thing for any sort of big Timmy strategies to do. I think Timmy's the right term, but the big stuff that I want to make big things happen. This is a very effective thing, and it's just tap, draw a card, amazing. All spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. That is bonkers. I love that. As far as gameplay is concerned, I think this is a effective but also balanced card, because the -X has the limit of you can only get with a non-land permanent with as much loyalty as you have there, and it comes out as a token, and the card itself is exiled, so you can just bounce that token and it's gone forever. So it becomes kind of fragile, but you get a copy of something for 4 or 5 mana, which is, for clone effects, is pretty on the mark. And it being from a planeswalker, meaning it's an ability that can be redone and redone, it kind of makes sense to have that fragility. I think that's balanced, and I think that's fine. The +1 ability, just freezing a creature, that is a 3 mana spell that does that. Like, I forget what spell it is exactly, but there's a 3 mana spell that does that exact ability. Having that on a 4 or 5 mana planeswalker as a +1, that's fine. That's perfectly balanced. The ultimate, I already went over that. I think it's fun. I think it's awesome. So I could see this being, this could be a really fun Super Friends deck in Standard with Kasima, I think her name is, the wizard planeswalker from Strixhaven. I think that could be some really fun shenanigans. You throw Ren in there, maybe Jace with, oh my god, Jace with token Jaces. That's hilarious. This could be some pretty fun Super Friends ramp, like Turbo Fog shenanigans. That sounds like a really fun deck. Not to play against, but to play. That could be fun. Beyond that, this is probably going to be really cool to include, even just like flavor-wise, in any commander decks that run green and blue, especially if you're doing shenanigans with Phyrexian mana, or trying to cheat stuff out early. Self-mill stuff, this will fit into any Sultai deck. It's just a very effective and not broken. I don't think this is broken. I love that they put the balance stipulation of comes in with fewer loyalty if you pay life for the Phyrexian mana. I like that. I think the Phyrexian hybrid symbol is very clunky. This would never be something that would go into any sort of core set where they're trying to get new players in. It makes sense that it's in a more complex set. Like, I think this Kamigawa set is going to be pretty complex mechanically. And I think the Phyrexian hybrid symbol, it just feels weird to me. It feels like a lot. But maybe that's the direction I'm trying to go. Some mechanical inferences I can make from this card being announced and released and everything. One is that this symbol now exists. It now sets a precedent to be used in the future. It now means that we can get 2-color hybrid Phyrexian manas on stuff in the future, and I think we will, especially considering that there are Praetors already showing up again. There's, in Kaldheim, we had the green guy, I forget what his name is. And in this set, we have Jin-Gitaxias. Vorinclex was the green one. We have Jin-Gitaxias in this set now, and obviously, after the Nicobolas stuff, after the Eldrazi stuff, we're getting into the next big bad for the greater Magic story, which is going to be the Phyrexians, which I think is, with the newer Phyrexian storyline, with all the Praetors and everything, I think it's going to be very interesting. I would love to see the next big conglomeration set with a battle between possibly Gatewatch, Planeswalker alliances there versus Phyrexians. Let's get into some lore stuff, because I used to be a much bigger Vorthos than I am now, only because I haven't taken the time to keep up with stories and modern lore and everything. I kind of get stuff from the fringes and like Sparks Notes, essentially. So, oh man, what this implies, this Tamiyo card, what it implies lore-wise. To my knowledge, in the past, it has been confirmed that Phyrexian oil itself is what sort of corrupts the minds of creatures and turns them into Phyrexians, and sort of sets their mind towards that sort of near hive mind mentality for this, for becoming a or a Phyrexian. And from what I gathered in the past is that the Planeswalker Spark was incorruptible by the Phyrexian oil. So any Planeswalkers were not at risk of being corrupted by the Phyrexian oil by nature of being a Planeswalker with an activated Spark. Now, with this Tamiyo out, it is clear she has been completed, which means she has been converted to the Phyrexians. And that precedent on its own is terrifying for the Magic storyline, because it means that Planeswalkers aren't safe by nature anymore. Whatever means were taken to complete Tamiyo, I'm sure it was intensive and required a lot of research, which makes sense why Jin-Gitaxias is on this plane, because I'm imagining that Jin-Gitaxias is the one that did this to our beloved Moonsage. There are other things around that, though, that terrify me. The first thing that came to mind was the story circle. From a story in the Kaladesh block, there was a little, backstory behind Ajani and some of his friends outside of Gatewatch and everything. And so, it was confirmed that Ajani, Tamiyo, and Narset meet up together frequently in Tamiyo's home on Kamigawa to share stories about their travels and everything. And that's beautiful. And it was confirmed there that Tamiyo has a partner, and she and that person have a number of adopted children, one of which is a Ratfolk, who I think was confirmed to have a character, or a card in this set. And it's just so wholesome and amazing, and I would absolutely recommend to go read that story. I'll try and find the link to put it in the description. But yeah, so that super wholesome, lovely, which now Tamiyo's completed on her home plane. What is this? A very recent event that happened in the story? Has this been going on for a while now? Has she been completed for a while now? Because the last time we saw her was War of the Spark, and I don't know the timeline of events. I don't know how soon after this is from that, but I do know she's probably still got a family on Kamigawa. I don't know if they know what happened to her. I don't know if they know that, or if they think that she's just disappeared, or if she's broken contact completely. I don't know if she retains her memories of her family and has gone back to try and complete them. I don't know if they're safe or not, because their book mom is now possessed, is now taken over by this just ever expanding reach of the Phyrexians. Oh my god. Tamiyo's family is in serious danger until we see something confirmed one way or another. In the grand scheme of the multiverse and the sake of the multiverse, that's kind of small potatoes. But it's got a big heart-wrenching part to it, which is why that's so significant. The second thing to me that came to mind, oh my god, the events in Eldritch Moon from Shadows over Innistrad block a few years ago. Tamiyo helped the Gatewatch seal Emrakul into Innistrad's moon. Or rather, she was there and her assistance was utilized by Emrakul to do that. Back then, Tamiyo acknowledged she wasn't the one that did that. She had no scroll of hers to use that could do that. It was Emrakul using Tamiyo and Tamiyo's knowledge to alter a scroll to be able to do that to Emrakul. So Emrakul used Tamiyo to seal it herself in the moon. And Tamiyo revealed to Jace later that she herself had no control over that. It was all Emrakul taking control over. But the fact is, she was aware of that happening. She was aware that Emrakul used Tamiyo and her scrolls, and her knowledge of the scrolls, and her knowledge of how to alter the scrolls to put her in the moon. This implies a couple of things. With the fact that Tamiyo has been completed by the Phyrexians. She is on the Phyrexian side now. She's essentially a Phyrexian herself. I believe, assuming the worst, she retains her memories. She retains the knowledge that, one, she has these powerful scrolls that not only can she activate, but she can alter and cause these extremely cosmically powerful events to happen. Two, she knows about the Eldrazi. Not only does she know about the Eldrazi, she knows what to do to contain the Eldrazi. She knows how to restrain the Eldrazi and what they can do and what it takes to destroy them, essentially. I'm assuming because she was involved in the events of Eldritch Moon, which not only Chandra, but also Nissa and Jace and Gideon and Liliana and the entire Gatewatch. I can assume that, and I don't remember this exactly from the story or not, but it could probably have been inferred that Chandra and Nissa, so in the story, they were the ones that basically burned Kozilek and Ulamog to death. It was implied that those two titans were destroyed by the combination of Chandra and Nissa's power. It could be inferred that the two of them told Tamiyo how they did what they did and what they did. So now Tamiyo has that knowledge as well of how to destroy the Eldrazi, but her knowledge of the simple existence of the Eldrazi to the Phyrexians, these are interplanar creatures that can travel through the blind eternities that normally any living matter cannot travel through without being destroyed unless they have a Planeswalker spark, which is why Planeswalkers can go through it just fine, but non-Planeswalkers cannot. And that was a result of the mending, which is old lore, yada yada, but for the sake of now, non-living Planeswalkers cannot travel through the blind eternities. But there's also, what's his name? Tezzeret has the planar portal, which can transport non-organic matter through. And that was the whole plot of War of the Spark, with the zombie army that Nicobolas had, and yada yada. But suffice to say, Tamiyo's aware of the Eldrazi, which are living creatures that live within the blind eternities. Multidimensional beings. And now the Phyrexians know about them. And the Phyrexians know where the biggest one is. And they have the person that locked her in there, essentially. They have that person on their side. To be fair, clearly, seeing Vorinclex on Kaldheim and Jingataxias on Kamigawa means they already can get to other planes outside of New Phyrexia, because they're there. My biggest fear is that now they're going to go to Innistrad, pop that moon open, grab Emrakul, and complete Emrakul, because they have Tamiyo here, on their side now. Oh my god. I have never been this stressed out about the Magic story and this interested in what might happen. And as soon as I saw this card, I knew I needed to make a video about it, and I didn't know what exactly it was going to be. Wow. So things being set up, y'all. Okay, yeah, that's basically all I had to say. I'm fascinated to see how long this video is going to be. Nice to meet you again, Tamiyo, and good luck, everybody else.